Hi, my name is Victoria Green, but I go by Tori. And today I'm here to talk to you guys about the impacts of technology at a young age. And by young age, I'm talking about ages 2 to 9 years old. So, technology, it is very prominent in our life, and within the last 10 years, and it has advanced so much. We have gone from reading in a library and going to the library to study to being able to write an essay and get all of the research just done on one device. And and the most part, technology has made our life easier than it ever was. Technology is used at work, technology is used at school, it is used in our everyday lives. Heck, it's even used to unwind and watch a show. Technology has its great moments, and it also does not. And here recently, within the last 4 years, it has been very prominent that technology has been seeping in and children have been using technology more and more. Now, the types of technology that children are exposed to are iPads and tablets, phones, computers, and television. We hear the term iPad baby sometimes, and that refers to a kid that you always see on their iPad. And I want to preface and say that if you have a kid that is, using technology and iPad, there is nothing wrong with that. iPads can be very beneficial, and that's why I want to start it on the pros. iPads, computers, any exposure kids have to technology, sometimes there are good parts to it. Communication has been great with kids, especially with being able to communicate with family members or friends. They're able to talk on the phone. They're able to talk to people that they don't even get to see as much, and that has been really great. Another pro is access to information. Kids are learning so much more now because they're able to look online and learn that information and gain that understanding. And another pro that it has, it really helps exploring creativity and learnings. Technology, computers, and iPads are being used a lot more in schools nowadays to help with learning. There's lots of apps for social, emotional, and academic learning. And all of that stuff is very good and beneficial for any kid. And then creativity, kids are able to, like I said, with apps, they're able to foster that imagination through that. But with pros, there do come the negative effects. And this starts with our shift in perspective. A very big thing that happened about 3 years ago that has been very prominent is COVID. And since COVID happened, it has affected more than just adults. COVID and the pandemic and being home for all of those months without being able to socialize and go through the norm has affected children. A lot of times, parents during that time, they were going crazy. They didn't know what to do. Kids were throwing a fit, and it was easier to give them an iPad. Kids had a lot more unrestricted internet access and just internet time because of that. And ever since then, I call this the COVID-19 to technology pipeline. So COVID happens, we're home in the pandemic. Parents are going crazy. They give their kids the technology, the iPads, the iPhones, and now kids are just unable to even exist a day without that. And so there we have seen a lot of negative trends in technology since the pandemic. So the very first negative trend that we see is going along with physical health. A lot of physical health things like vision, the blue light is not very healthy. And when kids are, and even adults are exposed to it so much, it can cause your vision to weaken. Another big thing is posture. Kids are sitting like this, and we're seeing a lot more of their neck is out of line, and they're unable to have good posture just because they're slouched over all the time. And then another big one is childhood obesity, and it is on the rise. And it is because two things. Either while we're watching our show or while we're, watching our games or doing our games, we're eating mindlessly. And instead of that, we're not having as much physical activity. And that's the second thing. Kids even 10 years ago or 15 years ago went and played outside a lot more. I'm not saying they're not now, but a lot more they did. And now, because of that, they are not as physical as they used to be because they're inside with the technology. Another trend is in academics. So we see so one thing we're seeing, and I am a preschool teacher, is lack of social skills. So kids are coming and they are not even understanding how to communicate, how to be a good friend, how to hold a pencil, how to use scissors and glue. And these are things that they all learn, and they learn even before pre-K sometimes, and they're not even registering it. And it's because they're not being trained to that at home. Another thing is short attention spans, and this goes all the way up to elementary. Kids used to, from a Canadian study, it was said that their attention span has shortened to 12 seconds, and even here recently, within the last 3 years, 8 seconds. Kids have the attention span of 8 seconds. And that makes it very hard to teach a lesson. And then the last thing is developmentally behind, which also goes with social skills. They aren't using fine motor skills enough. They're not training it. Parents aren't able or aren't just working more with their fine motor skills. They're just kind of doing technology time, and that's not helping kids in the long run with their just anything developmentally. And for the very last one is emotional. So emotionally, we're seeing addiction. Addiction is happening, and with the addiction, kids are not even able to go a day without the iPad. And with this brings behavior issues. And behavior has also been on the rise, especially since kids have been exposed to a lot of technology now. They're unable to uh, calm themselves. They're unable to regulate their emotions. And a lot of this has to do with they're not being taught those skills firsthand. And instead of being taught the skills, they're playing a game, playing a game, playing a game, or, watching a show, watching a show, watching a show, and they're just not learning the skills that they need to. So you may be asking yourself, what can we do? A very big thing that's recommended by Mayo Clinic is 1 hour of screen time a day. Now, this applies to kids from 2 years old to 5 years old. 1 hour of screen time just gives them that time of, yep, you can watch a show, but we're going to do other things. And if you have a kid that's a little bit older, you can limit technology time. Or I have a friend who sets a certain time, okay? 9 to 10, this is your technology time. Other than that, you know. But what's really important is to balance that with activities that are physical, that are getting kids outside of the realm of technology. Technology isn't bad as long as they have it limited and they're still being physical and active. And the very last thing that's very important is age appropriate content. And that's where it ties into even 3 year olds, 4 year olds, if they're on the iPad, as long as they are doing something that's helping them be a better person, socially, emotionally, academically, doing those apps that help them learn and get ready for preschool, that's very important. Or even kids in elementary school doing all of those things that are going to help them, but limiting and restricting internet access is very important to kids. Thank you guys so much for listening. These are my references right here, and I hope you guys enjoyed this just as much as I did. And I hope you guys all did really well with your reports.